Okay. Let us relearn how to fly the F-18 Hornet.
Welcome to this training lesson on starting up the Hornet. In some missions, you will find yourself in a cold and dark Hornet that you will need to bring to life. While this can be a rather long process as described in the manual, you can also enable the auto start function. However, for this lesson, we'll review the full startup procedure. Press spacebar. The first thing we need to do is enable the two batteries. This will allow operation of the canopy and power the engine igniters. You'll also notice that the integrated fuel and engine indicator, or IFE, in the lower left portion of the instrument panel will have power. Move the battery switch to the up or on position with a right mouse button click. The Hornet has two fire detection circuits, A and B, that test for fire in the engine's auxiliary power unit and bleed air system. Before we go into detail on that though, check that the hydraulic brake pressure gauge for the wheel brakes shows at least 3000 psi. Confirm this by looking at the gauge, which is located to the left and up from the highlighted fire test switch. Okay, now put the spring-loaded fire test switch in the up test A position and keep holding it up to test the A circuits. To do this, place the mouse over the fire test switch and hold down the right mouse button. Keep holding the mouse button down and do not release it until it runs through all the fire test audio warnings. In addition to the audio warnings, also note the fire test warning lights on the upper left and right portions of the instrument panel. When it's done, press spacebar. We will now do the same thing for the B circuit. After waiting 10 seconds, place the mouse over the fire test switch and hold down the left mouse button to move the switch in the down test B position. Keep holding it down and then release it once all the fire warning audio messages have been played. Well done. Press spacebar.
APU fire. APU fire. Bleed air left. Bleed air left.
Good job.
Right.
Note that in the top left portion of the IFE, you can see the RPM and temp of both the left and right engines. These will be important for when we start the engines. We will now turn on the auxiliary power unit, or APU. This is a small, self-contained engine that augments the bleed air system and will start turning the engines for engine starts. Place the APU control switch in the up or on position with the left mouse button click. Once the green light next to the APU switch comes on, move the engine crank switch to its right position, marked by the R, with a right mouse button click. This will allow the APU to power the Air Turbine Starter, or ATS, which in turn allows the aircraft mounted accessory drive, or AMAD, to start turning the fan blades within the right engine. Once the right engine RPM has reached 20%, as indicated on the IFE, move the right throttle from off to idle by pressing right shift home. This in turn will introduce fuel into the engine combustion chamber and start the igniters. Once the right engine RPM has reached 60%, the right engine start cycle is complete and the right generator is automatically engaged. Once at 60%, press spacebar.
Roll left. Flight controls. Flight controls.
When we conducted the tests of the A and B fire test circuits, we also closed the bleed air shutoff valves. We need to reopen these by rotating the bleed air knob clockwise 360 degrees from norm to norm. Do this by right mouse button clicking on the outer portion of the knob. When done, press spacebar. With the right engine running and generator power on, place the left and right digital display indicators, or DDIs, to the day position using right mouse button clicks on both brightness selector knobs. Next, rotate the HUD symbology brightness control knob clockwise by placing your mouse over it and rotating your mouse wheel forward. Once you see video displayed on the left and right DDIs and HUD, press spacebar. In the lower center of the instrument panel is the Multi-Purpose Color Display, or MPCD. Rotate the power and brightness control knob to the full bright setting by placing your mouse over the knob and rotating your mouse wheel forward. It will take a few moments to power on. Press spacebar once you see video displayed on the MPCD. On the left DDI, press the menu push button to bring up the support page. The support page has several sub-pages like the checklist, engine, fuel, ADI, and HSI. For now, though, press the FCS push button to select the flight control system page. The FCS page shows the status of the control surfaces and any detected FCS errors. The X's indicate detected errors, but we will address those once the left engine is started. You should not see any 2, R, or FADEC caution messages along the bottom of the left DDI. Note that by default, you will not have the built-in test or bit page on the right DDI. We'll come back to this. During this lesson and future lessons, you will often see and hear the master caution. This is the large yellow labeled button on the instrument panel that will light when any caution condition is triggered. There will also be an accompanying deedle sound to draw your attention. Press this button or click on it to acknowledge the caution and extinguish the light. Press the master caution again to restack the caution and advisory notices along the bottom of the left DDI. Cautions will be along the top and advisories in smaller text along the bottom. If the left DDI is not on, then the caution and advisories will be displayed on another display. By default, though, they will be on the left DDI. The Hornet comes equipped with an Inertial Navigation System, or INS. Use right mouse clicks to set the INS switch, located on the sensor panel, to the ground position. This will start an INS ground alignment. Now it is time to crank the left engine. Go ahead and move the engine crank switch to its left position, labeled L, by left mouse clicking it. Once the left engine is at 20% RPM, as indicated on the iFeed, move the left throttle from off to idle by pressing right alt home. This will add fuel to the engine and start the ignition. When the left engine is at 60% RPM, press spacebar to continue. On the FCS page, we have quite a few X's indicating abnormal FCS readings. To clear these, press and hold the FCS reset button. Located in the back of the left console is the panel for the Onboard Oxygen Generation System, or OBOGS. Go ahead and set the OBOGS switch to its up-on position. To the left of the INS switch is the radar switch. Set this switch to the operate position using your right mouse button. Don't worry, the radar will be in silent mode. You won't microwave the ground crew. Our next step
Not yet.
will be to run a bit on the Flight Control System, or FCS. Before doing so, set the flaps to the up auto position with the F key, or 2 right mouse button clicks on the flap switch. We'll now run a bit of the Flight Control System. This moves the control surfaces to their limits to test for any software or mechanical errors. First, select the FCS bit page from the bit page on the right DDI.
Already done it.
To run the FCS bit, we'll need to activate 2 controls at the same time. While holding up on the FCS bit switch on the right wall, press the FCS push button on the right DDI. Upon doing so, you'll see the controls being cycled on both the FCS DDI page, and if you look outside the cockpit, you can watch the wing and tail control surfaces moving.
Where's up on the FCS bit? Oh, it's over here. Holy shit. Alright, so get my finger on this and hold up on this.
Once the FCS bit is complete, marked by the beep tone, place the flap switch in the center or half position with a left mouse button click on the switch. Takeoff is done with flaps set to half. Once we are airborne, we'll move them to auto. For takeoff, we will want our stabs trimmed for 12 degrees. To set this, press and hold down the takeoff trim button. Upon doing so, you will also notice that the stab values on the FCS page will change to 12. The leading edge flaps, trailing edge flaps, and rudder should all have values of 30 degrees. You should also have no X's on the FCS page. Uncage the backup ADI by placing your mouse over the SAI cage knob and rotating the mouse wheel aft until the red flag is stowed. Close the canopy by holding the canopy control switch in the down, close position until the canopy is closed. Do this by pressing the key combination or placing the mouse over the switch and holding down the left mouse button. Once the canopy is closed, press spacebar to continue. At this point, the INS has been aligned as indicated on the MPCD HSI page. Move the INS switch from ground to nav with one right mouse button click on the switch. Prior to taxi, press the menu push button on the left DDI to go to the TAC or tactical page. On the TAC page, you have access to sub-pages like the store's management system, attack radar, HUD, and electronic warfare pages. On the left DDI TAC page, select the HUD push button to display a mirror of the HUD on the DDI. This can be useful when head down or in case of HUD failure. Let's now set up the right DDI. Press the menu push button on the right DDI to bring up the tactical page. Press the menu push button again to bring up the support page. Now on the support page, press the FCS push button. We will want the HUD on the left DDI and the FCS page on the right DDI when we taxi and take off. The parking brake system is operated with a yellow and black parking brake handle. The handle is currently in the park position, indicated by the fact that the park label is visible to the pilot. Release the parking brake now by rotating the handle 45 degrees counterclockwise from the extended position. This can be achieved by left mouse button clicking the handle or pressing the right Alt-P key. This will release the lock and allow the handle to return to the horizontal stowed position, where the emerge label is visible to the pilot. This concludes the current lesson on starting up the Hornet. As mentioned earlier though, there is also an option for automatically starting up the Hornet by pressing the left Windows Home key. You can end the lesson now by pressing the Escape key.
Alright, here we go.
In this lesson, we are starting in an up and running Hornet, and we will learn how to taxi to the runway and take off. Before we taxi though, let's set up a few more items that we did not cover in the cold start lesson. Press spacebar when ready. During low-light operations like this evening, place the landing and taxi light switch in the up-on position. Now, set up your position, formation, and strobe lights as you desire. The formation lights, or slime lights, are low-intensity green lights that aid in close-in formation flying. Position lights are red and green lights that mark the left and right sides of the aircraft, and the strobe are two flashing red lights on the tail. When done, press spacebar. Time to set up your internal lights. The instrument dial controls instrument panel lighting. The console dial controls the lighting on the left and right consoles. The flood dial illuminates the forward section of the cockpit. And the chart dial controls lighting of your lap area. The lights test switch will test all cockpit warning and caution lights. The warn caution dial allows you to adjust the illumination of those lights. The mode switch allows you to select default internal lighting for day, night, and night vision goggle use. Experiment with these and press spacebar when ready to move on. On the altimeter, rotate the pressure setting knob with the mouse wheel to set an airfield pressure elevation of 29.90 atmospheric pressure. Press spacebar when it's set. To steer the Hornet when taxiing, we will use the nose wheel steering, or NWS, by pressing the S key or the NWS button on the control stick. When engaged, as indicated by the NWS indication on the bottom right portion of the HUD, rudder inputs will steer the aircraft left and right. When the NWS button is held down, nose wheel steering high or NWS high is enabled and allows a tighter turn radius. This is quite helpful on a crowded carrier deck. Press spacebar to continue. To get rolling, slowly increase the throttles until you have forward movement, but do not exceed 75% engine RPM. Press Z to steer left and X to steer right. Taxi forward to the runway directly ahead. Keep taxiing forward and practice both normal NWS and NWS high steering. Come to a halt just short of entering the runway by using the toe brakes at the top of the rudder pedals.
Okay, which aren't working. Reversed. Wow, this game really knows how to interface with all this stuff, huh?
On the right DDI, confirm that the stab position is set to 12 for both stabilators. While holding down the wheel brakes, increase engine RPM to 80% and check that the temps on the IFE do not exceed 800 degrees Celsius. In a Hornet, you always take off an afterburner. Release the brakes and push the throttles all the way forward to full afterburner. Before entering the runway, arm the ejection seat by moving the ejection seat safe armed handle on your right in the down position so that the armed label becomes visible. Also, tighten your restraints. Check left and right for traffic. Increase engine RPM and enter the runway. Once on the runway, align the aircraft down the center line and come to a halt on the 25 runway heading marker. Press spacebar to continue.
Okay. Now what? I'm on it. Alright, it's broken.
As you roll down the runway, keep aligned down the middle with very small rudder inputs. Keep a small amount of backstick and the Hornet will automatically rotate and fly off the runway. Raise the landing gear by moving the landing gear control handle in the up position. Then, raise the flaps by setting, "Congratulations, you have just taken off in a Hornet." You can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
Grim's not set. Hold on. Just controls. Switch. Okay. No, it's good. Up, down. Yep. Right wing down, left wing down. Good. Just have to check.
Altitude. Altitude.
Well, going pretty good. Going pretty good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, just learned how to take this thing off again. I usually like to fly the Harrier, and I bought this module a while ago, and it seems like every time I try to pick it back up, I forget it all. So, if I want to get into some nice fights, I better learn this sucker, because the Harrier just gets shot down so easily in multiplayer. I'm going to land this bird and go on to the next lesson. Haha, you're Rio. I love it. Boom. I love it because Jester, he's no good, man. Jester is not... He's not good. He's not a good buddy. In fact, he'll eject on you any chance he gets. Alright, tell me these brakes. Oh, really? Good to hear it. Alright, I'm gonna quit, because I still don't know how to stop this thing. Alright, going to the next one. I was holding the brakes. Oh, I probably have to use the brake, the air brake as well. Okay. Taxiing takeoff, alright. Tack in now. So he'll actually lock on to the closest target. Yeah, my problem with him is you'll have like a target that you know is in the area, and he'll just never lock on. Ah, okay. Is it like also... Is it like you tell them to scan and then lock on target?
A key part of any mission is the ability to navigate to and from the target. Two such tools the Hornet provides are Automatic Direction Finding, or ADF, and Tactical Air Navigation, or TACAN. ADF uses VOR stations located throughout the maps.
Interesting, so instead of... I thought some of the missiles can go like, what, 60 miles?
Aircraft carriers, and some aerial refuelers. TACAN can provide both bearing and range, or just one of them depending on the source and TACAN mode used.
Okay.
In this lesson, we will discuss how to select ADF and TACAN navigation, and the steering information provided. I currently have the lesson paused.
TWS, does that mean you have to constantly lock onto it? Stop blocks. Okay.
For this lesson, we will be using an ADF example and then TACAN to navigate back to our home training base at Kobyleti. Let's start with the simpler ADF. To start, let's first select the Horizontal Situation Indicator, or HSI, for the left DDI. Press the menu Time push button on the left DDI to bring us to the tactical page. Note that this button will indicate menu when on the ground, but will show time when airborne. Let's press the same push button again to bring us to the support page.
Okay. Do you feel like you can take on the newer birds in a F-14, or do you feel like you're at a disadvantage?
Now on the support page, press the HSI push button. The HSI is your primary navigation page that will display TACAN, waypoint,
That's what I
and
love to hear.
ADF navigation data.
Yeah, just Yeah, I bet your awareness is much better with that two-person flight instead of having to do it all by yourself.
In the center of the HSI is an aircraft symbol that represents your position from a top-down vantage. Your true airspeed is
The
to
Harrier,
the left
man.
of the symbol, and
The
ground
Harrier has
speed to the
nothing.
right.
It just says
Centered
you're about to
and
get
around
shot.
the aircraft
That's
symbol
about
is a
it.
compass rose, and on the very top is a louver line that indicates your heading in regards to the compass rose. Along the top of the HSI is the SCL, or Scale, push button. Consecutive presses of this push button will cycle through the scale range options of the HSI. Press spacebar to continue.
That's control. Yeah. Yeah. It's control triple E fan fisher.
An ADF is assigned to a specific frequency, which can also be stored as a preset on one of the two radios.
It'd be
In
like a
this
TACAN.
case, we have the VOR ADF near Kataisi Airfield preset as Channel 2 on Radio 1. Right now, Radio 1 is set to Channel 1, as you can see in the Channel Select window for Radio 1. To select a new channel preset, place your mouse over the Radio 1 select dial and rotate the mouse wheel forward until 2 is displayed. When you do,
Does that turn off
you will soon
one of your
hear
engines?
the characteristic ADF identification code for that VOR station. Press spacebar to continue. To display the bearing to the VOR station on the HSI, we need to set the UFC ADF function select switch to Radio 1. To do this, right mouse button click on the switch.
Okay, right click, going
With
up.
that done, you will now
Hear
note
it.
a small circle along the outside of the compass rose at the 1
Dude,
o'clock
no one's
position.
going to use this in
This
multiplayer.
is your bearing to the ADF signal. There is no range information though. As you can see, ADF is quite simple. Let's move on to TACAN. Press spacebar when ready. In order to display all TACAN information on the HSI and HUD, press the TCN or TACAN push button on the HSI. Upon doing so, it will be boxed. Now we need to turn on the TACAN and set the code of the desired station. Press the TACAN button on the UFC. With the TACAN now selected on the UFC, we have three choices in the option select windows. TR is transmit receive, and will provide both bearing and range guidance. RCV is for receive, and will just provide bearing to the station. And AA is for air to air, and will provide either bearing and range, or just range, depending on the aircraft. By default, we have TR selected, which is fine. The lower two option select windows allow you to select either an X or Y TACAN channel. For example, 67X. Now let's turn on the TACAN by pressing the on-off button on the UFC. On the scratch pad, we now see that the TACAN is on and a default value of 1. Select Clear on the UFC keypad to remove this. We will navigate to the TACAN station at Kobuleti.
I'd have to learn how to Rio first, but yeah, I bet that's gonna suck.
Enter 67 on the UFC keypad, and then press the Enter button on the UFC. After entering 67X
6,
and press
7,
Enter, press
Enter.
Spacebar.
Good.
With the TACAN station now selected, we have some new information on the HUD and HSI. On the right side of the HUD, we have the range to the station in nautical miles and the 3-digit code for the station to the right of the distance value. At the top of the HUD, along the heading tape, we have a steering bar that indicates the heading to the TACAN station. On the HSI, we have much more information. In the top left corner of the HSI, we have a data block with 3 rows. The top row is bearing, distance. The second row is time to go in minutes and seconds. And the bottom row is the station ID. On the outside of the compass rose is an inverted triangle with a T in the center. This indicates your heading to the station. There is a corresponding tail on the other side of the compass rose. Between the aircraft symbol and the T symbol is a 3-pronged symbol that represents the selected TACAN station. Press spacebar to continue. When the TACAN station has been selected, you can use the course set switch, labeled CRS, on the top right corner of the MPCD to set a course line that is centered on the selected station.
I think I actually have a
Left
course
click
knob on
rotates
here.
the course line counterclockwise, and a right mouse click moves it clockwise. When a course has been set, the course line will be displayed on the HSI and on the HUD, with dots to represent 4 and 8 degrees of course offset. Press spacebar to continue.
I don't see it adjusting. That's nice.
When a TACAN beacon is selected, you will also hear the coded ID. You can adjust the volume of this with the TACAN volume control knob labeled TCN on the volume panel. Press spacebar to continue.
Where's the volume panel on here? It's right down there. Okay.
You can view airfield TACAN beacon channels by going to the F10 map, clicking on an airfield, and then reading the data of the airfield. This concludes our look at the HSI, ADF, and TACAN. When you are ready, press spacebar to unpause this lesson and practice navigating using the ADF and TACAN.
Dan 44 X-ray. Okay. Transmit, receive. Good. Okay. Now, I still don't see it on here. 44. Oh no, there it is. Should be north. Yeah, it should be showing up here, but I can't even read that. There it is. No. Okay, so you actually have to undo the check. That's interesting. Okay, so now I got it. I had it on air to air, and it was searching. And if I uncheck it, on the Harrier, it's either one of the 3, but on here, you actually can turn it on and off. Okay, that makes more sense. Cool. All right, let's unpause it. See if I can unsquelch it real quick. So that's that. Gotta be a shut up button. No way. Just doing this the whole time. Oh well. We'll figure that one out later. Port down there. Biz, made it. Cool. Alright, now let's go to 67 X-ray. In 6-7. Boom. Alright, so now we got... the hell's a KBL? That kilometer? Okay, we'll get out of here in a sec. Once we get to 67 X-ray.
Altitude. Altitude.
Gave me a fuel tank just so I could stay in the tutorial.
Pull up, pull up.
We're good. Okay, made it. Here's that freedom button, fan. Boom! Like a glove. It always makes you feel a little funky in VR. Okay. Quit. Alright, next one. Waypoint. I mean, that'll be pretty easy. Airfield straight in. Pattern. Do carrier takeoff. All right. Parking brake. Flaps. All right, good to go. All right, see if I've learned anything. Probably not.
Engine fire left. Engine fire left. Engine right fire. Engine right fire. APU fire. APU fire. Bleed air left. Bleed air left. Bleed air right. Bleed air right. Engine fire left. Engine fire left. Engine right fire. Engine right fire. APU fire. APU fire. Bleed air left. Bleed air left. Bleed air right. Bleed air right. Roll left. Roll left. Flight controls. Flight controls.
Almost lost my head there. Yeah. Okey-doke. Now, let's see what we got here. The built-in failure. Hold this up. And hit go. Probably need to lower that, yeah. Most likely. Probably. Okay, now we can run that test. Okay, test is done.
Waypoint 3 at 5,000.
Go over here. DCS. Okay, looking good, no errors. Okay, go here. Do the thing. Put this on HUD. Okay. Okay, looking good, looking good. Let's put our wings back up. Put our nav. Okay, radar's up. I think that'll be good. Let's set this thing to take off. All right. Cool, cool. Get her moving. Parking brake off. Yeah. Oh, I'm probably chalked, aren't I? Every other aircraft here doesn't have its chocks on, but I probably have my chocks on. Yep.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks.
Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
Alright, here we go. You're not hitting. You find my NWS. T-skid on. There we go. Why is my... Oh, yeah. It's because that's up. Yeah. That's why. Okay. Here you go. Okay. Looking good, looking good. Get our gear up.
Marshall 301. Marking Moms 295. All 3. Angels 3. Holding hands with 307. Low state 16.2.
301. Mother's weather is visibility 10 plus mile. Clear. Altimeter is 2993. Case 1 recovery expected DRC 353. Report see me at 10.
301. See you at 10.
Update state, switch tower.
301. Low state 15.9.
301. Tower, roger. BRC 353. Signal is Charlie.
301.
You can say flight kiss off now, huh? Okay. Totally overshot.
Altitude. Altitude.
Wheels up.
Okay, see the ball?
Clara.
Yeah, buddy. All right. Let's do some other training. Dun, dun, dun. Overhead pattern landing. Taxi takeoff. We got that. Do the case 1 landing. Okay.
Today we will perform a Case 1, Case 2 carrier landing. This will be very similar to the VFR field overhead pattern. In fact, Navy pilots land at airfields much like they do on the boat to maintain this perishable skill. In regard to a Case 2 landing, this would be the visual approach element of the landing after being guided in from the Marshall Stack CV-1 approach. Case 1 is defined as having a 3,000-foot minimum cloud ceiling and 5 nautical miles of visibility. For today's lesson, though, we are going to keep the aircraft carrier stationary, so we can provide some gates that will assist you in the pattern. Press spacebar to continue. Ahead of you is a series of gates that you will fly through. These are designed to instruct you on where you should be during the pattern. You will start the pattern at 800 feet and 350 knots just starboard of the boat. During this phase of the landing, lower your arrestor hook by moving the arrestor hook handle in the down position. First starting out, we will not break into the pattern until 1.5 nautical miles past the bow of the boat. This will give you plenty of time to get on speed in the downwind leg. At the break, you will make a level turn with the G of 1% of your airspeed. In this case, 3.5 G for 350 knots. As your speed decreases, relax the G to match the speed. You may need to relax or tighten the turn to roll out 1.3 to 1.4 mile abeam the boat. At 180 degrees of turn, level out on the downwind leg and descend to 600 feet. You should be below 250 knots. Once below 250 knots,
Give you so many instructions.
And set the flaps to full. Press spacebar to continue.
All right.
Once on the downwind
Oh
leg,
my goodness.
establish yourself at 600 feet and slow the aircraft to an on-speed angle of attack of 8.1 degrees. This can most easily be seen on the HUD by keeping the velocity indicator inside the E bracket. To the left of the HUD frame are the angle of attack indexer lights. When on speed, the center donut should be lit. Use of pitch trim is very important to set on-speed AOA. Maintain on-speed angle of attack during the downwind leg. Press spacebar to continue. Once your left wingtip is 5 seconds past the stern, begin a 30-degree bank to the left while keeping your velocity vector just below the horizon line on the HUD. This will place us in a steady rate of turn to the boat while descending. If the boat is moving with 25 to 30 knots of wind over the deck, start your turn when abeam the white of the round down on the stern of the boat. Your descent rate should be 100 to 200 feet per minute, as indicated on the HUD above the altitude box. 90 degrees to
Good.
this turn,
Eat it.
your altitude should be 500
Eat all of it.
feet. Past
Just save
90
me the
degrees
wings.
of turn, your descent rate should increase to 500 feet per minute. Only use your instruments for the first 90 degrees of turn. Don't peak. Use your throttle to control your rate of turn and pitch trim to control your airspeed. Press spacebar to continue. As you roll out on the landing course line, acquire the improved Fresnel lens optical landing system, or IFLOLS, and match your glide slope such that the center light stays centered between the two green lines. If the light moves above center, you are too high and need to reduce throttle. If the light is below center, you are too low and risk a ramp strike unless you increase power. You will fly to maintain on-speed AOA while keeping the ball centered. Prior to touchdown, do not flare the aircraft, but rather let it fly onto the boat at ideally 750 feet per minute, as indicated above your altitude limit. Press spacebar to continue. Before we give this a whirl, let's first set up the landing course line. Using what you learned in the TACAN lesson, set the TACAN to 74 X-ray and the carrier BRC of 350 degrees. This is the TACAN channel for the carrier, and it will provide us useful information to line up our downwind and final approach legs of the pattern. Set your HUD to show the radar altitude. To give us final notice when we should be passing over the wake of the boat when in the final turn, set the radar altimeter by your right knee to 370 feet by spinning the knob counterclockwise. Finally, set your left DDI to the HUD and your right DDI to the FCS page. Press spacebar to unpause.
Are you comfortable? Are you gonna stay there?
Why can't I choose a course? There we go. Where does it say 350? I can't see it. 352. That's 350. Alright, I'll just leave it there. Good.
We are now flying a heading of 352 degrees and 349 knots and 1,900 feet. Fly through the gates ahead, which will place us at 800 feet and offset to the right of the boat. We don't want to directly overfly the boat, so we can first check to see if the deck is foul. Maintain an airspeed of 350 knots.
Okay.
Anytime you approach the carrier with the intent to land, you should do a hail R check, meaning check that the hook is down and engine anti-ice heat if required. Anti-skid switch is off. ILS is boxed on the HSI when ICLS is being used. External lights are set for daytime and rad out set to the HUD. Cage the velocity vector on the HUD by pressing the cage uncage button on the throttle or press C. Lower the arrestor hook by clicking on the lever or pressing H.
Making sure that this is my cage uncage button. One sec. Boom. Cage uncage. Okay, good.
When at 1.5 miles from the bow, set the throttles to idle and follow the gates for a 180-degree turn into the downwind leg. The rate of turn will be based on a G that is 1% of our airspeed. In this case, 3.5 G for 350 knots. Once your airspeed is below 250 knots, lower your landing gear and set the flaps to full.
Yeah, like 360. You're not going down, dude. That's okay. Good times. Got it. All right. Let's do the air-to-air gun.
Welcome to this training lesson on the use of the Hornet's M61A2 20mm cannon. Mounted on the nose of the aircraft, it can be loaded with up to 578 rounds and has a firing rate of either 4,000 or 6,000 rounds per minute. When too close for missiles, the gun is a great option in a dogfight. I currently have the lesson paused as we talk about the AA gun system. Press spacebar to continue. To start, let's first get the AA gun set up. The easiest way to do this is by simply pressing aft on the weapon select switch, or press left shift and X. Please do so. With the AA gun selected, note that the master mode was automatically set to AA. The left DDI displays the AA gun format, the HUD is in the gun auto acquisition mode, and the right DDI is in the AA radar page with air combat maneuvering mode selected. Let's first take a closer look at the AA gun format page on the left DDI. Above the wing form, you see the number of gun rounds remaining, 578, and below that, you see the state of the master arm switch. On the left side of the page, you have the gun round type selection of M50 or PGU-28. You want to make sure that this selection matches what you have loaded on the aircraft. Press the M50 push button to select M50 rounds. In the bottom of the left format are push buttons for high and low gun fire rate. Low fires the gun at 4,000 rounds per minute, and high fires the gun at 6,000 rounds per minute. Select the high option. With no radar lock on the target, you will use the lead computing optical sight, also called the funnel. Simply put, with a wingspan entered, you will fly your Hornet to place the wingtips of the target's aircraft, just touching the sides of the funnel. When they are, you have a good firing solution to hit the target. To enter the correct target wingspan, press the UFC push button. Our target aircraft will be a MiG-29 with a wingspan of approximately 37 feet. The top option select window is marked WSPN for wingspan. Press the option select button to the left. This will allow us to enter a target wingspan. On the UFC keypad, type in 37 and then press enter on the UFC keypad. Press spacebar when done. With that done, you will now note that the WSPN or wingspan indication in the top right portion of the AA gun format page displays 037 to the right. Now let's take a look at the HUD. Currently, you're in the gun auto acquisition mode. This is indicated by the large dashed circle on the HUD. Also note that the selected weapon, gun, indicated near the bottom center of the HUD, and the number of rounds remaining below it. To lock up a target, simply fly to place your target within 5 miles inside the dashed circle. Until you have a target locked though, you can use the gun funnel. In addition to the gun auto acquisition mode, you also have the Boresight BST, vertical VACQ, and wide WACQ air combat maneuvering ACM modes. But we will talk about those in a separate lesson. When you are ready, press spacebar and I will unpause the lesson. Ahead of you are 2 drone MiG-29s. Place them within the dashed circle on the HUD to lock one of them up. Upon doing so, you now have some new information on the HUD for a locked target. You have your VC closure, velocity and target range below it on the right side of the HUD. The locked target has a target designation box or diamond around it, and an aiming reticle with a pipper in the center. Along the outside of the aiming reticle is a line that indicates maximum gun range. Fly to place the pipper in the center of the aiming reticle over the target and pull the trigger when the target is within range. When the pipper is over the target and within range, a shoot cue will appear over the target. To unlock the target, press the undesignated button on your stick, or press S. Good job. Now splash the second drone. Splash 2. Great job using the AA gun. This is a great weapon in close and when Winchester on missiles. Press escape to end the lesson.
Okay, let's go to the next one. Air-to-air missiles.
In this lesson, we'll learn about how to use the AIM-9L and M versions of the venerable Sidewinder short-range infrared guided air-to-air missile. Using a cooled infrared seeker, the Sidewinder locks onto the hot elements of a target, most often the engines. Best used in close-range dogfights, the Sidewinder is a fire and forget after launch. However, the Sidewinder can be decoyed by flares and is less effective against ground clutter. Today we're looking at the L and M versions. The AIM-9L, or Lima, entered production in 1977 and was the first all-aspect homing Sidewinder, meaning it could get a lock on a target at any aspect angle. However, a rear aspect provides much better detection. The Mike, or AIM-9M, is an improved version of the Lima with better flare rejection and a reduced smoke motor. In a later lesson, we'll take a look at the AIM-9X and the joint helmet-mounted queuing system. The Sidewinder can be used on both Boresight mode and slaved to a radar-locked target. I currently have the lesson paused as we discuss some of its features. To select a Sidewinder, press down on the weapon select switch, or press left, shift, and S. When selected with no target locked on radar, the Sidewinder will be in Boresight mode. This is indicated by the single reticle on the HUD that indicates the seeker line of sight. Below on the HUD, you'll notice the name of the weapon, DCS, and the number of missiles remaining. To employ a Sidewinder in this mode, fly your Hornet to place the reticle over a target and wait for the seeker tone to change to a higher pitch. This indicates the seeker sees and is tracking the target. You could then launch the missile by pulling the trigger or pressing the spacebar. To allow the seeker to self-track the target, press the cage-uncage button on your throttle or press C when you hear the lock tone. Once self-tracking, the seeker will automatically follow the target within its seeker field of regard. Before trying this though, let's first take a closer look at the AIM-9 format page on the left DDI. Press spacebar to continue. As with the AA gun, you have the remaining gun rounds and master arm indications. Along the wing form are indications for AIM-9 loading. 9L indicates stations with AIM-9L, and 9M indicates stations with AIM-9M. The selected station includes an SEL for selected below it. To cycle through AIM-9 stations, press the AIM-9 select switch on the weapon select switch, or press left shift S. This allows you to switch between AIM-9L and AIM-9M versions. When you are ready, press spacebar and I will unpause the lesson. You now have two MiG-29 drone targets ahead of you. Fly to place the reticle over one of them until you hear a higher-pitched lock tone. You can either launch an AIM-9 now by pressing the trigger on the stick or spacebar on the keyboard. or initiate a self-track by pressing the cage-uncage button on the throttle, or pressing C. Once self-tracking, launch an AIM-9. It may take more than one to bring down the MiG. Splash 1. Keep an eye on the second MiG-29 and follow it. We will use a radar slave
Pretty
to
tough
track
to do.
that one.
Things going slower than me.
Follow the second drone. To lock up the second drone on radar, press up on the sensor select switch or press right alt and semicolon. This will place the radar in air combat maneuvering or ACM mode. Keep following the second drone. When ACM mode is first selected, the Boresight auto acquisition mode is selected. This is indicated by the dashed circle on the HUD. To lock up the target, fly to place the target within the dashed circle and have the target under 10 miles away.
Altitude.
I got that second part down.
Altitude.
Look, dude. What you doing?
Boom. Yeah.
Fly to keep the target at about 1 mile to keep the radar locked. On the HUD is a large,
Oops.
solid circle that acts as both the AIM-9 allowable steering error circle and as the normalized in-range display, or NERD circle. Fly to keep the small steering dot inside the circle to give the missile the best chance of reaching the target. Along the outside of the circle are two triangle NERD indications. The one at the 6 o'clock position is the missile maximum range, also called RMAX, and the other is the missile minimum range, called RMIN. The line inscribing the circle indicates target range, and you want this between RMAX and RMIN to launch the missile. Also on the HUD is a box or diamond that indicates the line of sight to the locked target, and the smaller circle indicates the AIM-9 seeker line of sight. If you see a large X across the HUD in radar display, your range to the target is less than the minimum range indication. When the target is between RMAX and RMIN, the steering dot is inside the ASE circle, and the weapon is armed. The shoot cue will appear, and you can launch the missile by pulling the trigger on your stick. Nice job! You downed the second drone. Some final thoughts on using the AIM-9. First, the seeker can better track a target from behind than in front. Second, if the target is expending flares, it may decoy your missile. Third, the AIM-9 does not have a large warhead, so it may take more than one to bring down a target. Press escape to end the lesson.
Bare metal. Yeah. Medium range. Let's do that.
In this lesson, we'll explore employment of the Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile, or AMRAAM. The AMRAAM replaced the older AIM-7 Sparrow with improved range, guidance, weight, and an embedded radar seeker in the nose cone. This allows the AMRAAM to guide on target without support from the host aircraft as the missile closes with the target. This in turn allows the launch aircraft to maneuver without loss of missile guidance to the target. The AMRAAM can be cued to targets with the Hornet's radar, or it can be launched at a close range just using the missile's seeker. Deliveries of the AIM-120B began in 1994 and replaced the AIM-120A. The AIM-120C was fielded in 1996 and has clipped
Do we need
wings to
history
support
lessons? Come
internal
on.
storage, improved target detection, and greater range. As with all air-to-air missiles, engagement range is highly dependent on engagement aspect, launch altitude, and launch speed. You will see much greater launch distances at 30,000 feet on a closing target than 5,000 feet on a receding target. I currently have the lesson paused. To select the AMRAAM, press right on the weapon select switch or press left shift and D. Let's first take a look at the AMRAAM format page on the left DDI. In the top left corner of the DDI, at push button 6, is the size selection. By pressing on the push button, you have selections to set weapon fusing size to small, medium, and large sized targets. We'll be shooting down some drone MiG-29s, so select small. To the right of the size selection is the radar cross-section, or RCS selection. Upon pressing this push button, you have options to set the expected radar cross-section of the target between small, medium, and large. Go ahead and set it to small. Along the right side of the DDI at push button 13 is the step push button. Successive presses cycle the selected AIM-120 stations. You can see AIM-120 loading on the wing form with AB for AIM-120B and AC for AIM-120C. The selected rail stations include the SEL indicator and dual rail stations with indications for right and left rail on the station. Press spacebar to continue.
It's definitely not the step button. There we go. Yeah, that's definitely not the step button. Doors. Why did they say that? Okay.
When we selected the AIM-120, we also set the radar on the right DDI to the AIM-120 default settings. These include a range scale of 40 miles, a 2-bar scan, an azimuth of 140 degrees, and an interleaved PRF. Let's keep these as is. Press spacebar to continue. The large dashed circle is the most obvious indication of AMRAAM selection. This indicates the seeker field of view if launched with no radar lock first. This is termed Mad Dog launch, and the AMRAAM will lock on to intercept the first target it detects within the dashed reticle area out to 10 miles. Below the dashed reticle is the designation for the selected weapon, AB for AIM-120B and AC for AIM-120C. Below that is a visual indication, meaning there is no radar lock, and if launched now, the missile would be in Mad Dog mode. Press spacebar and I'll add some drone targets. On the right DDI radar page, we see a target, or called a hit, on the radar. Let's lock it up by moving the Throttle Designator Controller, or TDC, over it and locking it up. We do this by using the TDC switch on the throttle, or by pressing period, comma, backslash, and semicolon to slew it. Once the two vertical bars of the TDC are over the hit, press down.
We need to set the TDC controls, even though it should have been done. TDC, wing throttle, my TDC. Ah, yeah, there it is. Throttle, okay. Oh, I know why. It's because in Windows, it's set to button. Go to device, F18 handle, and click on the dealy dude. Switch mode. There we go. Okay. Go back into DCS. Now if I move it around, there it is. Beautiful.
On the TDC switch, or press the enter button. Once the target is locked, press spacebar to continue. With the target locked up, some new information is now available on the HUD. On the HUD is a large, solid circle that acts as both the AIM-120 allowable steering error circle and as the normalized in-range display, or NERD circle. Fly to keep the small steering dot inside the circle to give the missile the best chance of reaching the target. Along the outside of the circle are 3 triangle nerd indications. The one at 6 o'clock position is the missile maximum range, also called RMAX. Counterclockwise from it is the no escape range, also called RNE. When target range is within RNE, the target could change course and the missile would still have the energy to reach the target. The third indication, near the 2 o'clock position of the nerd circle, is the missile minimum range, called RMIN. The line inscribing the circle indicates target range, and you want this between RMAX and RMIN to launch the missile. Also on the HUD is a box or diamond that indicates the line of sight to the locked target. A box indicates a friendly target, and a diamond indicates it as a hostile. If you see a large X across the HUD and radar display, your range to the target is less than the minimum range indication. When the target is between RMAX and RMIN, the steering dot is inside the ASE circle, and weapon is armed, the shoot cue will appear and you can launch the missile by pulling the trigger on the stick or by pressing the spacebar. When between RNE and RMIN, the shoot indication will flash. Press spacebar to continue. Along the right side of the HUD are 3 lines of information. The top line is an indication of closure velocity, V sub c, and below that is target range in miles. Further down on the right side of the HUD is the timer field. When the locked target is outside the range of the AIM-120 radar seeker, the value will display the time from missile launch at which the AMRAAM seeker will turn on and hunt down the target. This is shown as the time in seconds and then ACT. Once the range of the seeker in the AMRAAM is less than approximately 10 miles, the time changes to time to go until the missile impacts the target. This is displayed as remaining time and then TTG. The ACT and TTG will be in reference to the last AIM-120 launched. When the target range is 15 miles, launch an AMRAAM by pressing and holding the trigger. If the first does not succeed, try again.
Okay. 15 miles. Going up.
Go ahead and lock up the target flying towards you and press spacebar. Don't engage it. If you don't see one on the radar, press the up arrow on the radar to increase its display range.
Up arrow on the radar. Did they change the radar on me? There we go. Next. Press spacebar. Okay.
Take a look at the air-to-air radar format on the right DDI. You'll note that much of the information on the HUD is duplicated there and includes an ASE circle, shoot cue, steering dot, and range indication as along the azimuth steering line to the target. The locked target has the antenna azimuth line running through it and has its speed as Mach to the left and its altitude to the right. The RMAX, RNE, and RMIN are displayed along the antenna azimuth line. When the AMRAAM is launched, a triangular fly-out symbol appears on the azimuth steering line and travels to the target. Once the missile seeker is active, an A appears below the flyout symbol. To break a lock, press the undesignated button on the stick or press S. Press spacebar to continue. As noted earlier, you can also use the AMRAAM with no radar lock. Termed visual mode, simply fly to place a target within 10 miles inside the HUD reticle and launch the missile. The AMRAAM will go after the first target it detects, hostile or friendly. Practice using the AIM-120 against the remaining drones and press escape when you wish to end the listen.
See if it'll lock it up. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. What's up, Cold Smooth? Good. Good, good, good. You let me know when you got that, so we're doing some co-op. Did you see it? You already see it? You'll be, yeah, you'll have to do a lot of tutorial. And, we streamed it for about 3 hours, and we were still kind of wondering how to do it. Oh no, yeah, you saw 40K, but then there was a different one that we also did. See if I can lock this dude up. Yeah. Yeah. So if I put this dude on the radar right here, I should be able to click on it, scan it, pull the trigger, and murder it. Okay. This should have murdered him. You can see it. Ooh, you piece of shit. Got locked into the sun. Icarus out there. Is that a Mario Kart reference? Oh, okay. When's that game coming back? Agent him in. Seen anything that says shoot. AB AC. Alright, this is the good one. This is a good rocket. Alright, it says shoot. Alright, there we go. It's off. This one better kill him. Yeah, flying. That's the wrong one. So this missile is 10 years newer than the other one. And it got the job done.
Altitude. Altitude.
Yeah, the game's got 8-player co-op, I think. And it's a campaign co-op too. Like yeah, you gotta check it out. It's different than anything I've seen. It's instead of it just being like a, you know, what you saw with like the other Warhammer, where it's like a static map. You actually have the whole world that you have multiple turns that people take, kind of like you know, like a turn-based strategy, and then anytime you clash, that person that gets in a clash can have a co-op fight with the people that are online with you. So you can give like units to your teammates. Yeah, it's exactly like Risk. Yeah, you got to go through that tutorial. In fact, I think see what else I got left here. Got rockets. I know how to use rockets. I'm not going to use them on an F-18. CCIP bombing. Pretty easy. It's automatic. High drag bombing. Cluster. We're not doing that shit. We're shooting down aircraft. GPS weapons data entry. JDAM, JSOW. Alright. I'll shoot someone down. To the Inferno. Okay. Change it to US only. App. Marianas. Comms, yes. Labels, full, local. Good. Alright, let's do it. Windows out of focus. Okay. That's fine. Yeah. Windows out of focus. Stop doing that then. How about that? Oh my god. I hit the Windows bar if I try to hit join. I can't join the server. Come on. It's like the pixel. There we go. Oh, come on. Requires a password. Thank you. EVE. Alright. Labels none. That's fine. Yes. Virtual carrier. Labels full local. Alright. That's what I want.
Nothing very interesting?
Yeah. Password. No. There we go. Clear the Inferno. PvE. Easy comms. No. No. You want easy comms? Yes. Video assist. No. Full. Okay.
You got a happy thing?
It's out of focus. God damn. There we go. Got it.
You look too weirdo.
Thank you. Sit tight. Yeah, after I shoot someone down, I'm going to turn on Warhammer. Because I've been wanting to get back into that. Or get shot down. Either way. F-18, right? Boom. All in one. We're definitely shooting that Ford Mustang. Oh, we're in the sky. Okay. Yeah, why not? The cheap way to start. Okay. Alright, so I guess we'll put an AIM-9. Let's go air to air. Okay. Got anybody that we can lock up? Okay. See where we are in the world. Me going somewhere. Well, we got some birds behind us. There's the islands. Marianas. Oh, there they are. Look at that. Friend. You a bitch. Huh? Let's see what they're up to, huh? Oh, I don't even have them. Interesting. So all I have is a gun. They really just put me in the sky with no rockets or missiles. That's good.
Altitude. Altitude.
Guess I can land there. Yeah, look at that. They gave me an empty bird. Why would they do that? I don't think the server knows what they're doing. Okay. 15. Round. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Ground crew.
Request rearming. Copy.
Engine fire left. Engine fire left. Engine fire
Rearming
right.
complete.
Engine fire right. APU fire. APU fire. Lead air left. Lead air left. Lead air right. Lead air right. Engine fire left. Engine fire left. Engine fire right. Engine fire right. APU fire. APU fire. Bleed air left. Bleed air left. Bleed air right. Bleed air right.
Ooh, F-16, hell yeah.
Roll left. Flight control. Flight control.
Oh, pretty cocky, huh, boy?
Turn back.
Yeah, bud. What's going on?
Daddy was mad.
Can't find my built-in test. There it is. Back, you are a sucker right now.
Bax, are you gonna take this? Be like, rah! You tell him what you want. Yeah! You tell him what you want. That's right.
It's right back.
Don't take no for an answer. Go for broke. Like,
Why is he doing this to me right now?
Infield 4-2. Request startup.
Did you give up? Did you give up on your dreams? Hey, if the direct approach doesn't work, guilt. Used for many generations of children. Yes.
Infield 4-2. Request startup.
And I just got kicked. Alright. That was fun. Alright, let's get Warhammer on. Alright, I'll be back in a minute.